Right. Okay. Right. So thank you for coming. So today we'll be talking about the object-oriented programming or OOP with Python. So this is um, advanced topic. So hopefully we assume you already know some of the things before you join this webinar. Right. So agenda, things that we'll be talking tonight will be introductions, and then we do a review about the programming, and then OOP, and then the OOP with Python itself. Also some tips and tricks, and then if possible, we can do live practice. So guys, this is very advanced topic, okay? So hopefully, at least we assume you already have some background knowledge for programming at this time, okay? So introduction, we are GLC, Garda Lisa Chakrawala. We are based in Bandung. Our areas are training and IT consulting. We are partner for MikroTik, Ubiquiti, and Linux. We also do programming. We do the programming, and then one of our product is GLC Radius Manager. All right. So my name is Achmad. I'm from Bandung. I'm Linux user since 1999. MikroTik user, Cisco, Ubiquiti, Python, database, Postgres or MySQL. I use many products for for technology, and also do training. I'm teaching in training related to those technologies. Certified trainer for MikroTik and Linux as well. Writer in some of the blogs, and also I have account on LinkedIn. So guys, if you have LinkedIn, and then I would like to connect with you guys, okay? And this is our past experience in several countries in Asia, in Africa, in Europe, in Australia. So most likely we do network integration, network maintenance, network operations. We do like network support, developing software for network operation. We also do migrations, like migrating from static to dynamic, migrating from bridge network to routed network, and so on and so forth. The webinar itself, we started since 2010. It's a new year, yes. And then we talk about many topics, mainly focusing on networking, operating system, Linux based, yeah. So about sysadmin. So we talk about server, how we serve our organization with this kind of technology, and also programming. So these three things that we are talking about in our webinar. And about yourself, guys, so please, can you please introduce yourselves? At least tell me where you are from. Okay, so yeah, please say something in the group chat. Okay, I'm from here, I'm from there. Okay, say hi to everybody. Okay, so prerequisite. So we are talking about the object-oriented programming tonight. So, and this is not newbie, guys. So if you are just new to programming, I I really suggest you to 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 read some articles or do some programming things, okay? Because if you are new to programming, OP is not for you guys. Yeah. Right. So thank you for those who are joining here. I can see somebody from Nepal. Okay, I'm Rich Sahi. Okay, thank you. Location in on Earth, yes. In Sofia. Oh, okay, from Bulgaria. Thank you for coming, and from Jakarta, from Yogyakarta. Okay, thank you again for coming from Sri Lanka. Right. From Chad. Oh, Chad is from Africa. Right, right. Thank you, thank you. So guys, again, so to understand the topic tonight, at least you need to have a knowledge here. Okay, programming first, programming knowledge. Okay, and second, programming knowledge with Python. Okay, two things. Yeah, and not much, only two. Yeah, two, but a lot. Yeah, because programming itself is a broad topic. Just say it's only two. Yeah. Yeah, but never mind. I just want to encourage you that at least you know these two things. Okay, programming and Python. All right, so let's move on. Okay, let's talk about prerequisite knowledge. Prerequisite knowledge. Sometimes I'm too, get too excited, so my thinking is much faster than what I'm saying. Okay, so sorry for that. Uh, yeah, okay, so basic stuff. Okay, this is basic stuff for programming. So at least you know what variable is, the command, the operations, and then some advanced topics like array. So array is ability to put value into a variable. So multiple value in a variable. So it can be in Python, array, aka is known as list, or tuple or dictionary. So list is array that is that is editable. Tuple, you cannot edit it. Okay, you cannot alter. So after you define the tuple, and then you cannot change it. Dictionary is like JSON format. So it's the index is key. There is a key value pairs in the dictionary. Okay, so basically array is an extension of variables. Okay, and then we have a concept of loop here. Either you can a for loop or while loops. Yeah. So this is variables. For example, we have variable here, variable here, and then we do the keywords. For example, print. Okay, and then we can do also operations like plus. So we are combining the value from here and then value of y here, right? And then we print out to the monitor and then finish. Okay, the second program is same thing. We have variables, but these variables is different because as you can see, this is a square bracket. If it is square brackets, and then it means it's a list. Okay, so it contains three elements. 1, 2, 3. Start from index 0 up to index 2. Okay, so when we talk about array, we always start with index with an index 0. Okay, and then we do for loop here. Okay, and then we looping based on the array. Okay, array list. List or array, sorry. So sometimes I say array, sometimes I say list. Okay, because why? Because I'm doing programming in several languages like Python and PHP and yeah, some Java, but not much. Okay, so sometimes I say array, sometimes I say list. So I'm doing list, I'm doing loop on these variables here. Okay, coming from here, and then I put each of the elements into variable x. Okay, and then of course there will be indentation. Indentation is very important on in Python because we don't have things like in PHP where we have an open bracket here and then we have a closed bracket here. We don't have that in on Python. Okay, so yeah. So in Python we have a colon here as saying that okay there will be a code after this line. Okay, and then we print x. Okay, as simple as that. So this is just basic stuff. At least you understand what the slide means here. Okay, so I got the question. Is there any difference between Python and other high language? The conceptual OP is the same, where you have a class, where you have an inheritance, where you have a constructor, the constructor, you have variables or attributes or properties, and then you have method or functions. Okay, in normal, in non-OP or functional or traditional way, we call it functions. But when we put the function into the class, we call it method. All right. Okay, so let's move on. So next is procedural. Okay, so when you learn programming for the first time, usually you learn this kind of things. Yeah, procedural. So it means that the code will be executed sequentially from here, from top to the bottom. Okay, so code executes sequentially. It's easy to understand, faster to implement. It's natural. Okay, natural. When we read newspapers or emails or wherever, so we usually start reading from top to the bottom. Okay, but yeah, with this kind of things, the program lines can be very long. Okay, so that's why we need to have a better way to manage our code effectively. Okay, so this is procedural Python. Yeah, and then sometimes we also want to make our code efficient. Okay, so in this way, we usually create a function. Okay, functions. Function is a block of code. So in Python, we call it def, and then this is your function name, and then here's the we call it parameters. Okay, so this function receives two parameters, f name and l name. Okay, and then as usual, we put the colon, and then indent, and then here's the is the action or task. So in this function we do print, and then we have two we will put two variables that we get from the parameters from the functions. So when we call, and then we just call the functions, and then we put there the um, parameters. Okay, so as simple as that. This is one way of making our code efficient. Okay, using functions. So we don't have to create a task again and again. We just create functions, and then we put uh, um, parameters into the functions. Okay, so it's like you have a rifle, you have a gun, you have a you have a gun, and then this is how the gun looks like, right? Uh, yeah, okay, so like this is the magazines. Okay, and then here's the trigger. Okay, so this is the function. Okay, and then here's the bullet is the parameters. Okay, so function is this. Okay, and then when you call, it's like when you are calling the functions. Okay, it's like a trigger. And then what you put here, okay, this two is like a bullet. Okay, so that's how the programming, traditional programming looks like in the Python, okay, using functions. Another question is the function in Python also having output variables? Well, yes, you can just return here if you want to return something. Okay, so usually it's variables, blah blah blah. So when you call, and then you get the value. Okay, so functions. So the thing is, you create the functions to do something, or you create functions to output something, to get an output from a calculation. Okay. Yeah. So as you can see, function can return a data as a result. Okay. So this is just a review. Okay. I'm not talking much about this. Some function has two function and procedure. What do you mean? No, function is a block of code where we call the name, and then we put the parameters on it. Okay. Procedure. I don't procedure like I think you are confused with the database. In database, you have a stored procedure, okay, like the one in the MySQL or PostgreSQL. But here we call it functions, okay. The difference between return and print. Return means give you a value. Print means doing something on the monitor. Right. So sometimes we also use external functions. Okay. So we create. So this is a Vim. I'm using Linux. Okay. And then we have two files here: mymodule.py and then myapp.py. In the first module, in the first file, we put we call it here is this is one example of dictionary. Okay, we start from curly braces, stop with curly braces, and then so dictionary is like a list. The difference is if list is using numbers start from 0 as index, while a dictionary is using a key as the index. Okay, so we have a key, we have a value here. We have a key, we have a value. Okay, so it's key value pair. That's a dictionary. So the first file contains a dictionary. So when I create the second files, my app, so I can just use import. Okay, so I can import my module. So my module means the name of the files. Okay, and then everything in the files will be imported into the second 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 files. Okay, so that's the meaning of import. So I will import everything, all lines in different files. I will import those lines into my own program. Okay, so that's the meaning of import. Yeah. And then because we already import, and then we can call, for example, my modules dot, okay, and then person one. So where did this come from? This person one come from? Well, it's uh, from the previous file, which is my modules, and then we can access the files because we already import the files. And then because person one is a dictionary, okay, and then we put here is the index. Okay, so here's the index. Okay. Okay, so yeah, so the result here is 36. You can write down in the or your own IDE, Python IDE, and then Vim is the text editor in Linux. Okay. Right, so we already know about the basic stuff with the basic stuff of programming things, okay, like variables, functions, loop, okay, those are important. uh, yeah, so we need more features, okay, it's like grouping variables, okay, in order to represent real objects, okay, grouping variables and functions, okay. Define access to functions and then extend function to the other groups, okay. Right. Yeah, so we need these kind of features. Okay, so yeah, now we introduce the object programming, OOP, object-oriented programming. I got um, question here. A model is written desktop. I'm working on download folder. Yeah, I mean, you just define the 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 import module. So both files are in the same directory. If they are not in the different, if they are in different directory, you have to put the path as well. Okay, like C colon slash blah blah blah. Okay, so first is uh, uh, yeah, actually this is also part of uh, of OP, right? Yeah, but yeah, it's part of OP. Yeah, object-oriented program. So we will explain the concept of OP. Okay, so first concept is encapsulation. So encapsulation is like this one. Okay, so you have a class. Okay, so you have a class a cat. Okay, so in cat there will be a, we call it properties. Okay, like mood, like hungry, like energy. Okay, so yeah, encapsulation means you have a date, you have a concept of of uh, of representing an object. Okay, because OP everything is object oriented. Yeah, so for example you have a cat here. So cat is a class. Okay, that has mood blah blah blah. So these things are called uh, uh, this is called properties. Okay, properties, like when you play games. Okay, okay, so when you play game, you have properties, right, in your characters, like height, weight, how the power level, the blood, what is it, the yeah, the blood level. Okay, yeah, what kind of level, there are lots of parameters, yeah, in your game characters. Yeah, so those things is called properties. Yeah, so when you play game, computer game, so every character must have a class. Okay, usually must have a class. So in that class there will be a parameters for it, and then that parameters or is represented with variables. And then because we talk about class or OP, those variable is called uh, properties. Okay, and then after you have a properties, and then what you need to know is the ability of your character of doing something. Okay, like it can walk, it can crawl, it can shoot, it can punch, it can kick. Okay, so those kind of action is called method. Okay, so cat here can do meow, can do sleep, can play, can feed, and so on and so forth. Right? Okay, so yeah, sleep, play, and uh, feed. Okay, so at least encapsulation means we are encapsulating those complicated things into a simple class. So when you access the class, so you just know that okay, this class has a properties and this class has method. That's it. Okay, so when you access the class, those two things is the things that you need to know. Okay, so you don't need to. How about the method is calculated? So that's another story. Okay, when you take a look into the class itself. Okay, so that's the first concept of encapsulation. So that's why the OOP, when we implement OOP, the total number of lines of code is less compared to if you are doing a traditional way. Okay, so you're up. Okay, thank you for Tiho. Yeah, thank you for answer. Thank you. Yeah. Um, yeah, path. We call it path. Okay, so yeah, at least I already assume you already know Linux. Okay, and in Linux we know there's a parameter called path. Okay. Next concept is abstraction. So Yeah, similar to the previous one. So first is encapsulating. So encapsulating is like putting envelope in, putting your traditional mail, okay, so your handwriting into an envelope, okay. So that's encapsulation. Next concept is abstraction. We call it abstraction here. So in order, the purpose for abstraction is to hide the complicated things behind. Okay, so what you see is just interface like this. Okay, where it has a home button, volume button, change input button. So that's all. Okay, but you know, behind this home button, volume button, charge input button, whatever things in your Android, there are lots of code, correct? Yeah. So you want to hide them. Okay. Yeah. So that's called abstraction. So the concept of hiding the details. Okay. So when you access, you just you just see the important layer first, and after that, uh, yeah, if you want to know more details, and then you can take a look into the details. Okay, what about how the home button is calculated, how the volume button is done when you push the volume buttons, what's going on, and so on and so forth. So that's the concept of abstraction. Okay. Uh, Yeah, so what's the difference between conventional and OOP coding structure? Well, with the OOP, of course, you will be implementing those things like encapsulation, abstractions, and then the things that we'll be discussing after the slides here. Okay, next is inheritance. Okay, with inheritance, it's a concept where you have a class. Okay, so it's a one way of how you manage an information, for example. So in the beginning, when I'm a programmer and I do programming, and we use database, okay, and then one application that we did in the past was academic information system. Okay, so in that academic information system, we have tables, right? Okay, so you when you're dealing with the database, the database that you are using is RDBMS, relational database, which put those data into a tables. Yeah, so we have a table for a teacher. Okay, we have a table for students. Okay, okay, so we have a student, and then is the username of students, and then here's the password for students. Okay, so username, password, username, password, username, password, username, password. And we would also do teachers also, same thing. Okay, we have a teacher login, we have a teacher password, teacher login, teacher password, teacher login, teacher password. Everything is okay. One day, that student becomes a teacher. Oops. Oh, hang on. Okay, so what kind of login that he has to use? Okay, so we have to create account for teacher and then the password. Okay, okay, that's solved. And then how many total accounts in the system? So let's say total teacher is, for example, 21. Total students is 101. So how many total user in the system? It's difficult to calculate, right? Why? Because one person here is also one person here. They are the same person, correct? Because one day student become a teacher. Understand? So total has to be, this is 101, okay, but the total teacher is 20 actually, yeah, because actually one teacher previously was a student. Yeah, so this is not a good design. Okay, so we think again, okay, how to solve this problem? Okay, so let's combine with parameters that is common for them. Oh, okay, so let's create a new table here, name person, correct? Okay, in that person, that table person, we have a name and then email and then the password here. Okay, so this is our main tables. So we have a user table or person table, and then we inherit, we kind of like inherit. So this is like a parent. So this is parent table, okay, right? So it's a master table, okay. And then we have a child table here, okay, child table, okay, which is teacher or student, okay. So this is how you see the inheritance concept of OP, like a parent and child, okay, with the database. So with the database, you have a master table here, we call it master, okay, and then here we have a child table, yeah, and then we have usually we put here a foreign key that connects to the master table. So this is a one to many, yeah, one to many relationships. So one person can have more than uh, uh, um, accounts, okay? So it can be a student or can be a teacher, but one student must be one person, okay? Correct. Okay, so if parent content inherited by child, how data stored for child in parent class? What do you mean? Well, yeah, when you inherit properties, and then the programming will allocate the memories for that data. Next is polymorphism. Okay, so here, for example, we have a class for figure interface. Okay, so yeah, um, so when you talk about class, usually you have two things, either properties or method. Okay, so here usually method has brackets like this. Okay, so polymorphism, for example, we can there are two methods. Okay, calculate surface, calculate perimeters. Okay, yeah, so this can be implemented in various various a child class. So triangle, again, triangle is a class, circle is a class, rectangle is a class. The class that is inherit figure from the figure interface. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So that is polymorphism. So uh, um, yeah. So the well, for example, in Python. So for example, you have function. Okay. You have var1, var2. Okay. Yeah. And then you have, for example, it is possible that you have more than one parameters for your function. So we can call it arbitrary parameters. So that you can put as many parameters as you like. Yeah, it's possible in Python. So that case can be considered as polymorphism as well. So polymorphism it's a multiple form. Okay, it's like a form 1, form 2, form 3, form 4. So one one functions can be flexible, that can be changed into different shapes, for example, okay, form 1, form 2, form 3. And then this kind of phenomena, for example, can be implemented like a function here, okay. So sometimes your function, the same function, can can receive 1 parameters or 2 parameters or arbitrary parameters. In PHP, you cannot do that. You cannot have arbitrary parameters, but in PHP 8, it is possible to have that kind of features. Okay. Now let's talk about OOP in Python. Okay, so this is how it looks like. Okay, so sometimes people are confused, and then I see some of you say that, okay, how the coding looks like. Okay, here it is. Okay, this is what you want. Okay, yeah, this is very simple. How you define class and objects. Okay, so this is very simple form of OP. You have a class, and then this is your name of your class name. Okay, don't forget to put a colon here, and then you put a parameter here. Okay, it's finished. How to call a class? Well, you put a variables here, and then call the class name. This. So you call this. Done. Okay. So this is class, and this one is called object. Okay, object. So P1 here is called object. Understand? So because we already know the object, so P1 is already allocated in memory together with the parameters that is inherit from the class. So inside the P1, we have X also here. Okay, so everything here will be put into this object. Okay, so that's why on this line you can call P1, this is the object, and then you call X. X from where? X from here. Okay, so that's how you understand how you read the OOP code. So again, class is like a object constructor or a blueprint. Okay, sometimes people say like that in many OOP books. Class is like a blueprint, and object is like the things that is created by the blueprint. Okay, so again, here's the class, is the blueprint. Okay, you call the blueprint here. Okay, so everything in the blueprints will be put into this object. Okay, so you have a class, you have an object here. Clear? Okay, so hopefully everyone can follow along with the slides. Okay, next. Okay, it's getting complicated, but it's okay. Again, so let's talk about init function. Sometimes you will see this kind of things. Okay, so class, and then here's the name of the class, and then here's the what? Is the method. And then the method name here is init. Okay, and then it says itself. Okay, self means it refers to our own class. Yeah, self class. So our own class, the class that I'm in now. Okay, so it means that self means, yeah, self means our own class, which is the person. And then it receives 2 parameters, name and age. Okay, because this is a method, and then we have we can do something. For example, self name, self age. Okay, and then they will take a parameter from the they will get the value from the parameters that is called by the method. So we have method init, And then this method init receive two variables, which is name and age. So the name will be put here, the age will be put here. Okay. Now let's call the class. Okay, so we already know the construction of the class, so let's call it. So we have a person, and here's also person, and then we call the things here. So we call the class, okay, and then when we call the class, we will execute the method init automatically. So this method, so previously when you say a function, you have to call the function manually, right? So you have to write the code, okay, I'm calling this function. But this method init is the method that is automatically called, okay? When you instantiate, we call it instantiate when you call a class. So you're calling a class here, okay? Of course, you will execute init, okay? And then you put parameters into init. So first, second parameters, you put them here. Yeah, okay, done. So P1 here becomes an object, okay? So everything in the person will be put here. So you can access all parameters inside the P1, okay? So P1.name and P1.age, okay? How can you access? You from here. So name is from here, and age will be put into this one. Okay. Oops, something's falling. Sorry for that. Okay. Next is method. Okay, actually we call it. We have called them. We have discussed method before. Okay, so method actually is just a function. Okay. What's the difference between method and function? They are the same. Okay. If they are inside the class, we call it method. If they are not in the class, we call it function. That's it. Okay, do not get confused. So we have two methods here. Method init, we call it constructor in other language. And then we have method myfunc. Okay. And then myfunc is doing this task. So I'm calling this with these parameters. Okay, so both of them. So I'm calling this class, okay, and then I'm also sending the parameters here, okay, and then everything in the class will be put on P1, okay, so that now I can call everything inside the P1 like my func. Okay, so that's it. Yeah, that's the method. Look, guys, if you are new, this explanation looks easy, okay? Okay, just do here and that. Looks easy, but please, yeah, if you really want to know about the OOP, you should try it yourself. Self parameter. Okay, so previously we always call self. What is self? So self parameters is a reference to current instance of class. Okay, so it's a referring to the class itself, our own class. Okay, doesn't have to be named self, but you can call whatever you like. But the first parameters has to be the first parameters of the class. Okay. Yeah. So, for example, we have a function, a class person, we have init, we have my func. Okay. We call the, again, we call the class here. Okay. And then for the parameters, because we are calling the init automatically. And then of course we'll put the parameters into the, put the, we call it arguments. Yeah, now I remember. So this is called arguments. Okay, we send arguments into the parameters here. Okay, so yeah, they been processed. Okay, and then the name will be put here, age will be put here. Done. And after that, everything will be put on P1 here. Okay. So because P1 is already allocated in the memory, and then we can access what's everything inside the P1. So we call P1 first. We put P1 first, dot, and then the kind of functions that we called here. So for example, I'm calling my function. Okay. And then, for example, it receives ABC. Okay. And then, yeah, it says my name is blah, blah, blah. Okay. Okay. What is the benefit of self-parameter over method? Oh, guys, you talking to different things, man. Self is for yeah, in this case, self is for variables. Okay, method is method. It's two different things. Okay, so looks like you're confusing. Yeah, so this one, okay. So variable is variables, and then function is functions. Okay. So there are two different things. Yeah. Okay. Maybe you said init over functions. Init is the auto, like a self-loading, the function that is execute automatically when you call a class. That's init. Okay. So next is, for example, inheritance. You can do inheritance. So this is an example of code. So here we have a person, and then we have a student also here. So we have two classes. Okay. So the first class is person. Second class is a student. Okay, which one we know? Which one? How do we know which one is parent? Which one is child? Okay, we can see it from here. Okay, so this one refer to this. So when you are calling this, when you are calling student, okay, so let's talk about this line. So you're calling student, okay? You're calling student, it means you're calling this, okay? And this one will call person, okay? And then the person will have and then person class has init method, and then init method receive two parameters. So your parameters here will be put there, okay? And then f name becomes this, l name becomes this, and then the content will be put here, the content here will be put here. Done. Then we have a pass. Okay, so it means that you can access everything. So all parameters and a method here and the parents can be accessed in the child as well. Yeah, so yeah, that's the OP. So we are reducing. So how can we reduce the code? Okay, so if we don't use OP, when we call student, we have to rewrite many things here, right? Okay, so that's the beauty of OOP. Okay, we don't have to write everything that is available in the parent class. We just call them. Okay, and then we can add our new method here, which is not available in the parent class. That is how we save the total amount of code. Okay. Okay, so x.printname is it correct? Yeah. So we called here. Okay, so x is this. Okay. Okay, we already have. So previously we called student. Okay. Okay, let me change again. Okay, we call student call this one, and because student is child class, it will call a parent class here. Okay, and then because the parent class has init is execute, init receive two variables, two parameters. Okay, so the argument that we send here will be put there. Okay, the f name will be, goes here, l name goes here, the content will goes here, this one will go there. Finish. So everything in the students, that everything in the students will be something that is inherited from the parent class, which is the person. So yeah, so so after instantiation, we call this line is called instantiation. Instantiate. So you call this, and then x will become an object. And because it's an object, okay, we can call a method that contains here. Right. So that's I mean, yeah. Again, reading reading OOP code is not straightforward like traditional one. Okay. With the traditional one, it's very easy from top to bottom. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 until a few thousand. Okay, so it's just in the logical order. Okay, that's the procedural one. But OOP is different. Okay, so it's like kind of like playing here and like jumping here and then jumping to there and then up to this and then go there. So this is how you read the OOP code. So it's not straightforward. Okay. So start from here, instantiation, you call this, and then this one call that, and then you call again this, and then there is an init here, and then init receive this, and then you follow the code. Okay. Everybody get the idea? Okay. Right, so I think that's all. I think it's already burned your head right now. So your head must be very, very heavy and then quite hot today at this moment, right? So several tips and tricks. Yeah, again, OP is widely used on framework like, yeah, many framework use OP. You just name it, Laravel, um, Code Igniter, Ye. What is in the OP framework or Python? I forgot the name. Django. If you develop Odoo, it's fine. If you develop also OP, if you develop ERP Next, also OP. If you develop Flash, it's also based on OP. So many frameworks are OP based. And then, yeah, understanding OOP will give a benefit for reducing your lines of codes. Okay. Okay, so that's all. I think I don't think we have a live practice. You can practice yourself. So I assume you already know Python. So this slide will be available on Slideshare. You can copy and paste. Actually, this is also many from the materials here are from W3 schools. Okay, so yeah, it's a good website. I really recommend you to visit the website. Yeah, many examples are from there, and yeah, so hopefully by the end of this webinar, you know how the OP works. At least you know how it works logically. Okay. Okay, interested. If you're interested, and then you can contact us for training. We do also training if you want to learn more. Okay. Yeah, we provide training for networking, system administration, and programming. And also, this is end of slide. Okay, so as I also have a message here from admin to share the feedback. Okay, so guys, please share a feedback. Put the feedback. Also, we have a cooperation with New Zealand University. They are doing currently. They are doing research on online course, humor on online course, humor, yeah, things that make funny, yeah, humor. And then they would like you to put the to submit the questionnaire. Okay, let me share the questionnaire. Okay, let me share the questionnaire. Okay. Oh, where is it? Ah, yeah, yeah. Okay, here's the questionnaire. Okay, so if you don't mind, please submit the questionnaire. Here is the questionnaire. Okay, so yeah, if you don't mind, you put it there. And then the last one is photo session. Yeah. Okay, let's open all the cameras. So guys, if you have questions, and then type here. Okay, I got a question here. What you have done in undergraduate course? What do you mean? I'm studying. Okay, yeah, during my college here, when I do the undergrad, I do programming, I do Linux, I do many things. Okay. All right, so let's open the video. Okay, guys, please. I want to see your handsome face, your pretty face here. All right, so one. Okay, let me count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, smile, guys, smiles. 1, 2, 3. Done. Okay, thumbs up, thumbs up. As usual, thumbs up. 1, 2, 3. Yes. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, for the second page. 1, 2, 3. Good. Right, guys, thank you very much for coming. Yeah. So hopefully you have some kind of enlightenment after attending the webinar. So hopefully, yeah, it will give you a good benefit for your knowledge about Python programming. Right. So if you are interested, then just contact us. If you want to know more, just contact us to admin. Right. So again, thank you very much for coming, and then stay safe. Stay safe. Yeah, because yeah, out there, in some places they're not safe. So hope you guys still in the good health and then safe. Okay, again, have a nice day, and then hope you enjoy the webinar, and then we will see you next week. Okay, have a nice day and goodbye. Bye bye.